Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory release, of course Epic Evolution as well, as this time we have the Baby Apatosaurus. It is not every day that we get a baby dinosaur from Mattel, but I love when they give us this stuff. You know, we've had like the Baby Brachiosaurus, the Baby Pseudoceratops, stuff like that in the past, and I've really been a big fan of that, so having an Apatosaurus is just really cool, especially because you can then add it to a diorama with the adult, although this being a danger pack release and the adult being absolutely gigantic, they wouldn't compare well next to each other, but it would be neat if you could get quite a few of them and add them to like a diorama with the adult. We can see the coloration also looks very reminiscent to what you see on the adult, which is a nice touch on the part of Mattel, and you can also see again in general we have the same style packaging that we've had so far for these danger packs. And then on the back you can see the other sets that are included in this first wave, which of course one of which we have reviewed, the Guanlong and Lystrosaurus set, and then we have our raptor that's been sent out now 3 times in 3 different waves from Mattel, the Apatosaurus and the Gallimimus. So, without further ado, let's pop this out of the box and go straight to a closer look from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Apatosaurus, you can see it looks pretty nice. You've got an articulated jaw on this, which is also nice for a figure like this. You can see the skin texture looks pretty good. You've got a good bit of creasing and wrinkling there in the eye socket area. The eye is painted with a black, does have a slight gloss coat, but not quite as nice as I'm used to from Mattel. You can see the nostrils right here. Overall, the head has a grayish tone, but you have like this greenish sort of tone here for the lower jaw, and you can see that does extend back here into the face just a little bit as it runs down along the underside of our Apatosaurus. Again, as I mentioned, the jaw does articulate. You can see the inside of the mouth. We've got a nice pinkish tone there for the tongue. The teeth are a little thick as far as the paintwork, but they look like they're sculpted kind of decently. What in the world? There's no teeth on the upper jaw at all, it seems, which is very surprising. A little bit unexpected, I will say, but outside of that, I think the inside of the mouth looks pretty decent. Just shocked to find that there are no teeth on the inside, on the upper side, but the jaw does articulate pretty nicely. As you move back into the neck, you start to pick up this like almost teal sort of a tone, and that is a little bit different compared to the adult version of the Apatosaurus. Definitely a change in tone of color for that, but maybe that's what you see on the baby versions compared to what the adult looks like, and then maybe it just kind of gradually changes as the dinosaur gets older. You can see we've got quite a bit of wrinkling and stuff here back behind the head as you lead into the neck. The skin texture moving through the neck does look really nice, and I like the fact that we have this kind of greenish tone run here down the entire underside of the neck, although it does briefly break up right there and then kind of becomes almost like a little bit scattered moving down. That's actually kind of cool. That's not really something that I've seen from Mattel that I can remember before, so I kind of like that. But you continue to see, again, lots of really nice skin detail, more of that patterning as we move down through the course of the neck, which also kind of like breaks up a little bit and becomes a little bit more sporadic as far as its placement goes. You do have an articulated neck, which the neck can go down about that far, about that far, and then can go up about that high. And then of course you have more of that patterning as you move back here into the body. We just have more of that kind of like teal sort of a tone here, overtaking the entire back pretty much, but in like a broken up sort of scattered fashion. It also runs down here onto the side of the dinosaur, which you can see. Again, the grayish tones kind of creeping through here and there as well, and then you also have more of those greenish tones here on the underside kind of creeping up into the stomach a little bit. You can get a pretty good view of the stomach region and how good the skin detail looks there as well. And then you lead down into the legs. You can see the legs look pretty decent. This foot looks like it's currently in the process of taking a step and maybe setting down on the ground. You've got some more nice looking skin detail, nice muscle definition, as well as the elbow present right there in the back of the leg. You've got a pretty decent foot sculpt, no painted nails as per usual, slight sort of satin shine to them, which is a plus. The toes are sculpted nicely, I will say that. And then as you lead back up, you of course have the fax app code here on the back, which as always looks a bit ugly, but there is the code. If it would focus on it, there we go. The code if you would like to add that one to your collection. And then as you lead back here into the rear leg, you can see it's primarily just the grayish tone. We don't have any of this alternate tone of color leading back into the leg. The same thing you saw on the front leg there. You've got the muscle definition again of the thigh looking really nice. The skin texture looks fantastic as you move down the course of the rear leg. You've got the knee right there in the front, the calf muscle, as well as again a really nicely sculpted rear foot with the toes as well, looking pretty darn good. Very crisp detail on this as per usual when it comes to Mattel. Also no painted nails on the rear foot, just a little bit of a satin shine. And of course the legs articulate forward and back, you know, your standard when it comes to Mattel. Nothing new or groundbreaking articulation wise with this one. And then of course same deal for the tail. You've got a swivel as you move out into the tail. Unfortunately, just like always, the teal color that we have going on here ends as you lead out into the tail, and sometimes it can be okay. This time not so much, because not only does it end, it ends severely abruptly, like it just stops dead as you lead out. It's not even like it just disappears moving out, it's just gone without any sort of a transition away. So that's a little bit ugly, but it's not the end of the world, I guess. Same deal for the coloration of the underside. It looks like maybe at one time they almost were planning on adding coloration out onto the tail, and then they were just like, you know what, we just don't feel like it anymore. But as you lead out, you can see you've got a pretty small tail, obviously, for our little baby dinosaur, that maybe it would grow into a larger tail as it gets older. And then as you look at the opposing side, it looks pretty much the same over here. Nothing really too different going on from one side to the other, except for the positioning of the legs being a little bit different. But it is definitely a pretty fun figure. I actually really quite like this Baby Apatosaurus. As far as a size goes for our Apatosaurus, I guess we could probably put the head out to kind of give us the maximum length. If the head is extended out lengthwise from the snout to the tail, a little bit over 7 3/4 inches, heading toward 8 inches, but not quite, or pretty much 20 centimeters on the dot. And then if we put the head up as high as it can go, to get a maximum height, you're looking at right around 5 inches or 13 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Baby Apatosaurus. And as you can see, it's pretty much the size range you would expect it to be. It's very similar in size to the previously released Baby Brachiosaurus, and significantly smaller than the adult. I'm not going to bring the adult in because, first of all, it's in a really awkward spot for me to get back out, but also because there's really no point. You can very clearly see that this would be super tiny next to the adult, and you wouldn't even be able to see the figure. I think if I extend it out far enough to really see the adult and baby together, it would just be so small. But obviously it's sitting right in the size range you usually get for the Danger Packs. And just in case you wanted to see a comparison with the Baby Brachiosaurus next to the Baby Apatosaurus, here you go. Even though it is still in packaging, you can very clearly see that they are very similar in size, with the Apatosaurus potentially being actually a little bit taller than the Brachiosaurus. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory Epic Evolution Danger Pack Baby Apatosaurus is pretty darn cool. I love anytime we can get a sauropod figure in the Mattel line. It's nice to have a sauropod figure in the Mattel line as well that isn't absolutely gigantic, as we usually have the giant versions that we often get, as well as the gigantic tracker size range and stuff. So it is nice to get a baby, in the Danger Pack size range once in a while. And overall, I think they've done a very good job on the baby. The sculpt is really well done. Definitely looks pretty much like I would expect a baby Mattel Jurassic World version of an Apatosaurus to look. They've done a great job of giving it really nice fine detail, really nice skin texture. Definitely a figure worth repainting at some point to give it a more highly detailed paint job. On top of that, the figure also features some articulation, and it is nice to have an articulated jaw on a figure like this. I think it all works really nicely, and even though it is missing teeth on the upper side of the inside of the mouth, it's still a pretty decent articulated jaw for the figure. It doesn't look super awkward or anything like that. You also have a fairly fun paint job, but the paint job is the one thing that is kind of the downside for this one, because I don't like the fact that the paint just straight up disappears as you lead into the tail. I feel like they could have maybe just applied a very small percentage of the paint leading out into the tail and just allowed that transition to be a little bit smoother, and that could have made a pretty big difference. But it's not the end of the world, because I don't think it looks super bad, but it's definitely not good. So overall, it is a pretty fun figure, and definitely, again, in my opinion, a figure worth adding to your collection. So if you are interested in grabbing it, head to your local Walmart, because that is exactly where my buddy Matthew found this, and helped me get a hold of it so I could get a review up early and add it to my collection without searching for it for weeks. So if you are interested, make sure you check your local Walmarts, and of course, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.